The Saint. Xiefeng. Zhuangzi said, "Take heaven as the foundation, virtue as the root, the way as the door, and the signs of change as the teachings. This is the saint." In the intermediate treasury of classical advice in Lifechanyuan, Part 1, the concept of the saint is described as follows. When the world aligns with the Tao, the saint fulfills their mission. When the world is in disorder, the saint perseveres and emerges. The saint practices non-action and teaches with wise words. The saint understands that the way of nature cannot be violated and thus adheres to the path of profound stillness. The saint follows heavenly laws, returns to the truth, and remains unbound by worldly conventions. The saint knows without taking action, recognizes without being seen, and accomplishes without striving. The saint does not seek greatness, yet achieves greatness. The saint desires what others do not desire, places no value on rare treasures, learns what others do not learn, corrects the mistakes of the masses, and supports the natural order of all things without imposing force. The saint avoids excess, extravagance, and arrogance. The saint embraces unity as a model for the world. The saint knows themselves without seeking attention, loves themselves without seeking admiration. The saint does not hoard. The more they give to others, the more they have. The saint's way is to act without contention, to use without greed. The saint is nameless, the divine person claims no credit, and the perfected person transcends the self. The saint's way requires minimal effort yet achieves significant results. The saint is not omnipotent, no thing has a perfect purpose, and neither heaven nor earth achieves complete perfection. The saint has no divided heart, and heaven follows a single way. The saint does not focus on life or death but seeks to understand their underlying reasons. The saint relies on the way for transformation, not on intelligence or cunning. Destiny is self-created, and the saint understands its principles. The saint is like a spiritual herb bestowed by heaven upon the earth, a miraculous elixir capable of curing all ailments. The saint absorbs the essence of the sun and moon, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and transforms into a celestial being or divine figure. The saint embodies the spirit of the greatest creator, serving as the creator's representative and messenger on earth and as the pinnacle of humanity. The wisdom of the saint is profound and unfathomable. Jesus, Sakyamuni, and Laozi are the saints among sages. Great philosophers, scientists, thinkers, and politicians also exhibit the qualities of the saint. The wisdom of the saint does not primarily stem from knowledge or education but from spiritual resonance with the way. The saint possesses keen spiritual awareness. The saint transcends life and death, personal biases, fixed conclusions, hatred, and attachments. They flow with change and adhere to the principles of yin and yang. Zhuge Liang resolutely said, "To save the suffering and the troubled is the work of the saint." In times of turmoil in human society, it is only the saint who can guide humanity out of confusion and hardship. Great saints will inevitably emerge in human society, for only through the emergence of great saints can the worthy not be left behind in the wild, and the world become one family. May our Lifechanyuan Academy members first become noble people, then sages, and ultimately saints. Let us open our eyes wide and seek the saint. Sages, Part 1. Xiefeng. In the classification of people, I divided humanity into 5 categories: ignorant people, worldly people, mortals, sages, and celestials. This classification is based on the varying degrees to which instinct, desire, emotion, reason, and spirituality dominate human nature. For instance, those driven by instinct are ignorant people, those driven by desire are worldly people, those driven by emotion are mortals, those driven by reason are sages, and those driven by spirituality are celestials. This is a broad and absolute categorization. Celestials can be further classified into ghost celestials, human celestials, land celestials, deity celestials, and super celestials. In Revelation chapter, Article 68, saints are discussed, and they belong to the celestial category. Based on the depth of their alignment with the Tao, celestials can be subdivided into perfected beings, true beings, celestial beings, divine beings, and heavenly beings. If categorized by levels, humanity can be divided into 3 tiers. Lower level, ignorant people, worldly people, and mortals; middle level, sages; upper level, saints, including ultimate beings, true beings, celestial beings, divine beings, and heavenly beings. Among these, celestials only include human celestials and land celestials. Deity celestials and super celestials no longer belong to the human realm, while ghost celestials are also outside humanity. The purpose of classifying people is not to toy with concepts but to help us determine our position among humanity and identify the direction and goal of our progress. Without classification, it becomes difficult to establish a reference point or coordinate system for our lives. Without it, life becomes a tangled mess, and we may go through life without ever understanding what it is truly about. We know that stones, for example, can be categorized into diamonds, rubies, sapphires, cat's eyes, topazes, spinels, aquamarines, zircons, emeralds, tourmalines, garnets, jadites, opals, moonstones, sunstones, turquoise, malachites, agates, pebbles, bluestones, flint, and so on. Each type of stone has its own unique characteristics. Similarly, people can be categorized into heavenly beings, divine beings, celestials, true beings, perfected beings, saints, mortals, worldly people, and ignorant people, based on their unique traits. A sage is someone who has transcended the constraints of instinct, desire, and emotion to enter a life of reason, but they still fall short of a life of spirituality. Sages remain unclear about whether existence precedes consciousness or vice versa. They readily accept scientific knowledge, logical reasoning, empirically proven facts, and the wisdom distilled from humanity's millennia of experience. However, when it comes to transcending conventional thinking, sages are often at a loss, bewildered, and even resistant. It is akin to a scale capable of measuring up to 100 kilograms. It works seamlessly within this range but becomes useless when the weight exceeds its capacity. Recently, a friend visited my home to swim but almost drowned. He could only swim 5 meters, and beyond that, he started floundering in place. Fortunately, someone was there to rescue him, otherwise, the consequences could have been dire. The development of Lifechanyuan vividly illustrates this phenomenon. Many people are initially enthusiastic and actively participate, but as the path deepens, they find it difficult to keep up. They start to feel that certain aspects are unsuitable or problematic, attempting to explain things or draw boundaries based on their rational thinking as sages. They try to impose limits on the boundless mysteries of the universe using simple formulas or laws, which is both distressing and regrettable. Everything has limits. Pots, pans, trucks, and computers have their capacities; even springs have an elastic limit. The Earth's mass and speed must remain within limits to maintain balance and order. The problem is, human thought is limitless. Left to themselves, people may never break free from rigid thinking. But with guidance, they can transcend conventional thinking and enter a vast new dimension. Unfortunately, few people are humble enough to accept such guidance, while many remain stubbornly attached to their views. There are 80 billion celestial islands in the celestial islands continent waiting for people to inhabit, yet too few are able to meet the standards required. Newton discovered 3 threshold cosmic velocities: 7.9 km per second, 11.2 km per second, and 16.7 km per second. If we assume that 7.9 km per second is the universal principle, we will never escape Earth's gravitational pull. If we assume that 11.2 km per second is the universal principle, we will never break free from the solar system's control. If we assume that Einstein's principle of the speed of light applies to all matter, including non-material, then we are doomed to be forever bound to Earth, trapped in a cycle of conflict over food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. Sages are only one step away from truth. They are like someone hanging onto a withered vine over a cliff, waiting for rescue. As Buddha said, "Let go, and they will step into the ranks of saints." But if they refuse to let go, they will perish along with the vine. If sages do not abandon their entire way of thinking and empty their minds, they will remain sages forever. So, what exactly is the state of sages? See Revelation chapter, Article 70.